What if I told you that the smartest person in the room is often the one nobody notices, and the person everyone follows isn't actually the most talented? Every single day, your brain makes a mistake that can change your career, your relationships, and even your future. In the next few minutes, you'll discover the psychological reason fake confidence often beats real talent. And once you see it, you'll never look at successful people the same way again. So stay until the end, because the final lesson could completely change the way you present yourself to the world. And if you're passionate about psychology, self-improvement, and mastering human behavior, make sure to subscribe and join thousands of people who are learning to think smarter every week. Now, let's begin. I'm going to tell you something that feels unfair, but your brain already knows it's true. Imagine two people walk into the same room. One is incredibly talented, the other is only average. Yet, within minutes, everyone believes the average person is the expert. Why? Because confidence doesn't just change how others see you, it changes what they believe is real. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why fake confidence often beats real talent, why intelligent people are constantly underestimated, and how one invisible psychological bias quietly controls promotions, friendships, relationships, and even success itself. Here's a strange question. If talent alone decided success, why do so many brilliant people stay invisible while less capable people become leaders? Think about your school. There was probably that one student who always had the right answers but rarely raised a hand. Then there was another student who answered every question with complete certainty, even when they were wrong. Who did teachers remember? Who became class captain? Who looked like a natural leader? Most of us know the answer. This isn't because the loud student was smarter. It's because our brains confuse confidence with competence. Psychologists call this the confidence heuristic. When we don't have enough information about someone's ability, our brains look for shortcuts. Confidence becomes one of those shortcuts. If someone speaks clearly, makes eye contact, doesn't hesitate, our brain whispers, they must know what they're talking about. Notice something important. The brain doesn't ask whether they're actually correct. It only asks whether they seem certain. That's the first trap. And once you notice it, you'll start seeing it everywhere. Think about job interviews. Two candidates have exactly the same skills. The first says, I think I could probably help improve the company. The second says, I know exactly how to improve the company. Who gets remembered? Confidence changes perception before talent even gets a chance. But here's where it gets even stranger. Sometimes fake confidence doesn't just fool other people. Imagine someone who knows only a little about investing. They watch a few videos, read one book. Suddenly, they believe they've mastered the stock market. Meanwhile, an experienced investor with 10 years of knowledge keeps saying, I still have a lot to learn. Who sounds more convincing? Ironically, usually the beginner. This psychological effect has a name: the Dunning-Kruger effect. People with little knowledge often overestimate themselves because they don't know what they don't know. Experts usually become less certain because they finally understand how much there is to learn. The more you learn, the more complexity you discover. Confidence goes down, competence goes up. That's why the loudest voice in the room isn't always the smartest one. Sometimes it's simply the least informed. But wait, if fake confidence is so powerful, should we all just pretend? Not so fast, because fake confidence has a hidden expiration date. Imagine a pilot pretending to know how to fly, or a surgeon pretending to know anatomy. Confidence might get them into the room. Reality decides whether they stay. Confidence opens doors. Competence keeps them open. Still, the first impression matters more than most people realize. Researchers have found that people often make lasting judgments within seconds of meeting someone. Seconds, not hours, not weeks. Seconds. That first impression becomes surprisingly difficult to change, which means if you appear uncertain immediately, people unconsciously search for evidence that confirms your uncertainty. It's called confirmation bias. Once people form an opinion, their brains protect it. Now imagine two people giving presentations. The first speaker starts with, sorry, I'm a little nervous. The second starts with, let's begin. Both have identical knowledge, but the audience now watches them differently. The first speaker unintentionally tells everyone to look for mistakes. The second quietly communicates authority. Nothing about their intelligence changed, only perception. Here's another interesting observation. Have you ever noticed how some people apologize before saying anything? Sorry if this sounds stupid. Sorry, but I have an idea. Sorry for bothering you. Those tiny words seem harmless, but psychologically, they're doing something dangerous. They're lowering your perceived confidence before you've even spoken. Your audience begins evaluating your your idea through the lens you've created. Not because your idea is weak, but because your introduction made it feel weak. Words shape expectations. Expectations shape perception. Perception shapes reality. This is why leaders often speak differently. Not louder, not faster, simply with fewer unnecessary apologies. Now let's flip the story. Have you ever met someone who seemed incredibly confident, only to realize later they actually knew very little? At first, they impressed everyone. Eventually, people stopped trusting them because confidence without competence creates cracks, and cracks always grow. Think of confidence like wrapping paper. Beautiful wrapping gets people curious, but if the gift inside is empty, sooner or later, everyone finds out. Real confidence works differently. It isn't loud. It doesn't need constant attention. It doesn't try to dominate every conversation. Instead, it stays calm because it has nothing to prove. Look at the best athletes, the best surgeons, the best musicians. Many aren't constantly announcing how great they are. Their confidence comes from preparation, not performance. They don't need to convince you. Their actions do it for them. There's another psychological reason fake confidence spreads so easily. Humans naturally follow certainty. In uncertain situations, confident people reduce anxiety. Imagine you're lost in a foreign city. One stranger confidently points left. Another says, "I'm not really sure." Who do you follow? Probably the confident stranger, even if they're completely wrong. Confidence feels like safety, and our brains crave safety. Advertisers know this. Politicians know this. Salespeople know this. Social media influencers know this. The more certain someone sounds, the more believable they appear, even when evidence is missing. That's why critical thinking has become more valuable than ever, because confidence is visible. Competence often isn't. Here's something fascinating. Real confidence actually looks different from fake confidence. Fake confidence needs attention. Real confidence gives attention. Fake confidence interrupts. Real confidence listens. Fake confidence tries to win every argument. Real confidence doesn't need to. Fake confidence depends on ego. Real confidence depends on evidence. The difference is subtle, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. Imagine two CEOs entering a meeting. One immediately dominates the room, speaks over everyone, and refuses feedback. The other asks thoughtful questions, listens carefully, then speaks only when necessary. The loud CEO looks stronger. Months later, which company would you trust more? Strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's silent. There's another trap talented people fall into. They wait until they're ready. They believe they need one more course, one more certificate, one more year of experience. Meanwhile, someone less talented starts today, makes mistakes, learns publicly, improves faster. This isn't because talent failed. It's because action compounds. Confidence often creates opportunities that talent alone never reaches. The talented person stays invisible. The confident beginner gains experience. Eventually, that experience becomes real competence. This is why confidence sometimes beats talent. Not because confidence is more important, but because confidence creates movement. Movement creates learning. Learning creates mastery. Talent without action stays potential. Average ability with consistent action becomes excellence. So what's the lesson? Don't fake knowledge. There's a difference. Pretending to know everything is dangerous. Being brave enough to try before you feel completely ready, that's growth. Walk into the room, raise your hand, share your idea, apply for the opportunity. Speak clearly, not because you're certain you'll succeed, but because certainty is never the requirement. Action is. Remember, people may notice your confidence first, but they'll remember your competence. And if you can combine both, quiet preparation with calm confidence, you'll have something far more powerful than talent alone. Because in the end, the people who change their lives aren't the ones who wait until they feel confident. They're the ones who become confident by taking action. So the next time you see someone who seems unstoppable, ask yourself one question. Are they truly more talented? Or did they simply have the confidence to begin before everyone else?